The stars had always watched Earth in silence. For 300 years, humanity had done the same. They watched back. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the Nightfall, his eyes fixed on the viewing screen. The ship drifted through the darkness beyond Neptune, invisible to every sensor in the known galaxy. It had been designed that way. Every human vessel had been designed that way. Contact confirmed, Lieutenant Kate Morrison said from her station. Her fingers moved across the holographic controls. 3 vessels. Kryloth design. They just entered the solar system. Daniel nodded slowly. This was not the first time alien ships had come close, but it was the first time they had come with purpose. Distance? Outer edge of the Kuiper Belt. They're heading toward the inner system. Kate paused. Captain, they're scanning everything. This isn't a casual visit. No, Daniel agreed. It's not. He had expected this day for years. Every human alive had expected it. In 2047, Earth's most powerful telescopes had detected them, not just random signals from space. Actual civilizations, thousands of them, scattered across the galaxy like cities of light. Some were old, some were young. All of them talked to each other through radio waves and quantum channels that humans quickly learned to intercept and decode. Earth's governments had faced a choice then. Announce themselves to the galaxy or stay quiet and learn. They chose silence. It was the smartest decision humanity ever made. For 3 centuries, Earth listened. They learned alien languages. They studied alien technology. They watched wars start and end. They saw empires rise and fall. They understood trade routes, political alliances, and military capabilities. The aliens never knew humans existed. Earth made sure of that. No broadcasts. No signals. Nothing that could give them away. Meanwhile, humanity built. In secret shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt and beyond, they constructed vessels that used everything they had learned. Ships that could disappear from sensors, weapons that could crack planets, defenses that could stop almost anything. All of it tested where no alien could possibly see. The aliens thought Earth was empty. Just another rocky planet orbiting a yellow star. Nothing special. They were wrong. Captain, Kate said, I'm picking up their communications. They're speaking Kryloth standard military code. Translation? She listened for a moment, her expression darkening. They're calling this system unclaimed territory. They're talking about resource surveys and colonization potential. Daniel felt a cold weight in his stomach. They think they can just take it. They think no one's home. He looked at the screen again. The 3 Kryloth ships were moving steadily inward. Each one was massive, easily 3 times the size of the Nightfall. Their hulls glowed with the blue light of their engines. They moved with confidence. Why wouldn't they? As far as they knew, they were alone. Send an encrypted message to Earth Command, Daniel ordered. Tell them the Kryloth Dominion has entered our space. Request instructions. Yes, sir. Daniel waited. The message would take hours to reach Earth and return. In the meantime, he could only watch. That was the hardest part of his job. Watching and doing nothing. But orders were orders. Humanity had maintained silence for 300 years. They would not break it without reason. The hours passed slowly. Daniel watched the Kryloth ships move through his home system like they owned it. They scanned Mars. They examined the asteroid belt. They sent probes toward Jupiter's moons. Every movement was recorded, every scan documented. The Nightfall's sensors missed nothing. Finally, Kate looked up. Message from Earth Command, sir. Admiral Gregory Nash himself. Put it through. The Admiral's face appeared on a secondary screen. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. Those eyes had been watching the galaxy for decades. Captain Hayes, I've reviewed your report. The Council is meeting now to discuss our options. What do you want us to do, sir? For now, watch them. Record everything. Do not engage. Do not reveal yourself. If they discover evidence of our presence, you are authorized to withdraw immediately. And if they don't leave, Admiral Nash was quiet for a moment. Then we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Nash out, the screen went dark. Daniel understood what the Admiral had not said. If the Kryloth stayed, if they tried to claim Earth, then humanity would have to make a choice. Stay hidden and lose their home or reveal themselves and face the consequences. Days turned into weeks. The Kryloth ships did not leave. Instead, more arrived. Daniel counted 20 ships within the first month. They established a base on Mars. They began mining operations in the asteroid belt. They destroyed 3 unmanned human research stations without ever realizing what they were. Kate watched it all with growing anger. They're tearing apart our system like it's a junkyard. Easy, Daniel said, though he felt the same fury. We have our orders, I know. But how long do we just sit here? That was the question everyone was asking. Daniel had received messages from other stealth ships positioned throughout the solar system. All of them reported the same thing. Kryloth presence growing stronger, human patience growing thinner. Then came the day that changed everything. Captain, Kate said suddenly, one of their ships is moving toward Earth. Daniel stood up. Show me. The screen focused on a single Kryloth vessel. It was smaller than the others, built for science rather than war, but it was heading directly toward the blue and white planet that humanity called home. They're going to scan it, Kate said. They're going to find us, she was right. The ship moved into orbit around Earth. Its sensors swept across the surface. Daniel could imagine what they were seeing. Cities, billions of people, technology, life. The Kryloth ship stopped moving. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then their communications channels exploded with activity. Kate's translation came through clearly. They found us. They're shocked. They're reporting to their command. They're saying Earth has a massive population, advanced civilization. But they're also saying our technology looks primitive compared to theirs. Primitive. Daniel almost laughed. We've been watching them for 300 years. They don't know that. More days passed. More Kryloth ships arrived. They positioned themselves around Earth. Daniel counted 40 vessels. An occupation fleet. His hands clenched into fists as he watched them surround his homeworld. Then came the broadcast. It was transmitted on every frequency meant to be picked up by any radio on Earth. Kate translated it, her voice shaking with rage. People of Earth. This is Chancellor Vex Thor of the Kryloth Dominion. Your world has been claimed as a protectorate of our empire. You will cease all military activities. You will prepare to receive our representatives. You will submit to our guidance and integration into the galactic community. Resistance will be met with force. You have 24 hours to respond. Daniel stared at the screen. The arrogance was stunning. They thought they could just declare ownership of Earth. They thought humanity would just surrender. Captain, Kate said quietly, we're receiving another message from Earth Command. Admiral Nash appeared on the screen again. But this time his tired eyes were hard as steel. Behind him, Daniel could see other military leaders. Serious faces. Determined expressions, Captain Hayes, the Admiral said. The Council has made their decision. 300 years ago we chose silence. We chose to watch and learn. We chose to prepare. That time is over. Daniel felt his heart pound. Sir, transmit the activation codes to all ships in the fleet. Full power. Drop stealth fields. Show them what we built while they thought we were primitives. Admiral Nash leaned forward. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Yes, sir, Daniel said. What about the Kryloth ultimatum? The Admiral smiled. It was not a kind smile. We'll give them an answer, but not with words, with actions. You have your orders, Captain. Make them count. The screen went dark. Daniel looked at Kate. She was already entering commands into her console. Sending activation codes now. All ships responding. 67 vessels total. 67, Daniel repeated. Against their 40. Should be enough. Daniel walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked with focused intensity. They had trained for this moment. Humanity had trained for this moment. 3 centuries of preparation. 3 centuries of watching and learning and building in secret. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humans could do when pushed. All stations. Report ready status, Daniel ordered. Weapons ready, his tactical officer called out. Engines ready, engineering reported. Communications ready, Kate confirmed. Daniel took a deep breath. Drop the stealth field. The nightfall stopped being invisible. Its hull appeared in space, sleek and deadly. All around the solar system, 66 other ships did the same. They had been hiding in plain sight, and now they revealed themselves. On the screen, Daniel could see the Kryloth fleet's reaction. Their communications channels went crazy, confusion, panic, disbelief. They had come expecting silence, they got fury instead. Commander Lisa Bennett walked through the underground command center beneath Geneva. The walls displayed feeds from every corner of the solar system. Each screen showed a different alien ship, a different threat. She had been monitoring them, For weeks, watching the Kryloth Dominion tear apart humanity's home like scavengers. "Commander," a young officer called out. "Mars base is reporting increased activity. The Kryloth are bringing in heavy equipment." Lisa moved to his station. The screen showed red symbols spreading across Mars' surface. "What kind of equipment?" "Terraforming gear. Atmospheric processors. They're planning to stay." "Of course they are," Lisa muttered. She had studied the Kryloth for years. They were an old empire, used to getting what they wanted. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. To them, Earth was just another prize to claim. She pulled up the communication logs. For 3 weeks, the Kryloth had been broadcasting their demands. Submit. Surrender. Accept their rule. Earth had sent no response. The silence was deliberate. Let them wonder. Let them make assumptions. Those assumptions would cost them dearly. "Commander Bennett," another officer said, "we have a situation in the asteroid belt." Lisa's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The main screen changed to show the belt. Human mining stations had operated there, for decades, all automated and disguised to look like natural asteroids. The Kryloth had destroyed 5 of them in the past week, searching for valuable metals. They had no idea they were destroying human property. "That's the 7th station we've lost," the officer said. "Mark it down," Lisa replied. "Add it to the list." The list was long now. Destroyed stations, damaged satellites, Kryloth ships blocking human trade routes. The aliens moved through the solar system with complete disregard for anyone who might already live there. In their minds, the humans below were barely capable of basic spaceflight. Primitives who needed guidance. They would learn the truth soon enough. Dr. Helen Price entered the command center carrying a datapad. She was Earth's leading expert on alien psychology, and her face showed concern. "Lisa, we need to talk about the Kryloth mindset." "What about it?" "They're not going to leave peacefully. I've analyzed their communications. They genuinely believe they're helping us. In their culture, advanced civilizations have a duty to uplift lesser ones." Helen pulled up a file. "They think we should be grateful." "Grateful?" Lisa almost laughed. "They invaded our home. To them, it's not invasion. It's rescue. They see a civilization trapped on one planet, struggling with primitive technology. They think they're saving us from ourselves." Lisa understood what Helen was really saying. The Kryloth would not back down from threats. They would not be reasoned with. They were too confident in their own righteousness. "Then we'll have to show them they're wrong." "Are we ready?" "We've been ready for 100 years. Far above Earth's surface in orbit around the moon, Colonel Jake Martinez prepared his team. They were the best of humanity's special forces. Soldiers trained for combat in zero gravity. Fighters who understood alien tactics better than most aliens did. "Listen up," Jake said to his squad. "Our job is simple. When the fleet engages, we handle the Mars base, fast and clean. The Kryloth won't expect ground forces because they think we can't move troops between planets quickly." "How many are we facing?" one soldier asked. "Intelligence says about 200 Kryloth on the surface. They have basic defenses, but nothing serious. They're scientists and engineers, not warriors." "And we're bringing how many?" Jake smiled. 50. Should be enough." The soldiers laughed. They had trained for years against simulated Kryloth tactics. They knew the aliens' weaknesses: slow reaction time, over-reliance on their shields, predictable combat patterns. Humanity had studied them all. Back in the command center, Lisa received a priority message. Admiral Nash was calling a final briefing. She headed to the secure conference room where Earth's military leaders were gathering. The room was small, just a round table and chairs. But the decisions made here would change galactic history. Admiral Nash stood at the head of the table. His uniform was crisp, his bearing military straight. "We've received the latest intelligence from our stealth ships. The Kryloth fleet now numbers 43 vessels. They're positioned in Earth orbit, Mars orbit, and scattered through the asteroid belt." 43, someone said. "How many do we have ready?" 67 combat ships, another 30 support vessels. Nash pulled up a tactical display. We have them surrounded, they just don't know it yet. What about their reinforcements? Lisa asked. Once the fighting starts, how long before more Kryloth ships arrive? Our best estimate is 3 weeks. The nearest Dominion fleet is 20 light-years away. Nash's expression hardened. By the time help arrives, this will be over. What are our rules of engagement? We give them one chance to leave peacefully. If they refuse or open fire, we eliminate them completely. We cannot allow even one ship to escape and report back before we're ready. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what that meant. This was not going to be a warning shot. This was going to be total victory or total defeat. There was no middle ground. What about the Galactic Council? Another officer asked. Won't they intervene? The council moves slowly. By the time they organize a response, we'll have already made our position clear. Nash looked around the table. Gentlemen, ladies, for 300 years humanity has prepared for this moment. We watched the galaxy. We learned its secrets. We built weapons they can't imagine. Now we use them. When do we begin? Lisa asked. The Kryloth ultimatum expires in 6 hours. They expect us to surrender. Instead, we're going to give them a history lesson. Nash's eyes were cold. They're about to learn what happens when you threaten Earth. In space, Captain Daniel Hayes received the final orders. All ships were in position. All crews were ready. The Kryloth fleet had no idea they were surrounded. Human stealth technology was that good. Kate Morrison monitored the alien communications. They're getting nervous. They're wondering why Earth hasn't responded to their ultimatum. Let them wonder, Daniel said. They're increasing power to their shields. Preparing weapons. They think we might try something stupid. Daniel almost felt sorry for them. Almost. They have no idea what stupid really looks like. Time moved slowly. Daniel watched the countdown on his screen. 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours. The Kryloth broadcast more demands, more threats. They promised mercy if Earth surrendered immediately. They promised destruction if Earth resisted. Earth stayed silent. 2 hours left. The Kryloth moved their ships into aggressive formations. They aimed their weapons at major cities, New York, Tokyo, London, Mumbai. The threat was clear. Submit or die. 1 hour left. The alien chancellor himself appeared on broadcasts, his scaled face stern. People of Earth, your time is running out. We offer you membership in the galactic community. We offer you protection and guidance. Do not throw this away through foolish pride. Respond now. Daniel muted the broadcast. All ships report status. Across the solar system, 67 captains confirmed ready. Every weapon was charged. Every system was hot. Humanity's hidden fleet waited for the word. Admiral Nash's face appeared on the command channel. He looked at each captain in turn. These were the men and women who would write the next chapter of human history. This is it, the moment we've prepared for. Remember your training, remember your duty, and remember what we're fighting for. The countdown hit 0. All ships, Nash said quietly. Drop stealth fields, show them what we are. Throughout the solar system, 67 warships materialized from nothing. They appeared around the Kryloth fleet like ghosts becoming solid. Each one was sleek and deadly. Each one was armed with weapons developed from 3 centuries of stolen knowledge. The Kryloth communications exploded with panic. How many ships? Where did they come from? These readings are impossible. Daniel listened to their confusion with satisfaction. This was the advantage of patience. The Kryloth had assumed humans were primitive. They had never bothered to scan thoroughly. They had never imagined Earth might have been watching them for centuries. Chancellor Vexthor's voice cut through the chatter. All ships, maintain formation. This is a trick. Humans cannot have this technology. Kate shook her head. He still doesn't believe it. He will, Daniel said. He opened a channel to the Kryloth flagship. It was time for Earth's response. Not with words of surrender, not with begging or negotiation, with a simple message. Kryloth vessels. This is Captain Daniel Hayes of Earth Defense. You have entered our space without permission. You have destroyed our property. You have threatened our people. You have 1 hour to leave this system. If you are still here after that time, we will remove you." Silence followed. Then Chancellor Vexthor responded, his voice filled with arrogance. "You dare threaten the Kryloth Dominion? You are barely spacefaring. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships are outdated. Stand down before we are forced to destroy you." Daniel looked at Kate. She was smiling now. A cold smile. "Should I tell him?" "No," Daniel said. "Show him." Admiral Nash's voice came over the command channel. One word. The word humanity had been waiting 300 years to hear. Execute. The first shot came from the Kryloth flagship, a beam of concentrated energy that would have vaporized any normal vessel. It struck the Nightfall's shields and scattered like rain on stone. Captain Daniel Hayes did not even flinch. "Return fire." The Nightfall's main railgun spoke. A slug of tungsten accelerated to a fraction of light speed. It crossed the distance in less than a second and punched through the Kryloth flagship's shields like they were made of paper. The alien vessel shuddered as the impact tore through 3 decks. "Hit confirmed," Kate Morrison reported. "Their shields are down. Hull breach on multiple levels." Around Earth's orbit, the battle began in earnest. 43 Kryloth ships opened fire on 67 human vessels. The space between them filled with energy beams, missiles, and railgun rounds. It should have been chaos. It should have been a fair fight. It was a massacre. Commander Paul Griffin stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, watching 3 Kryloth cruisers move to intercept. They were firing everything they had. Energy weapons that could melt asteroids, missiles that could level cities, plasma cannons that burned hot enough to ignite atmospheres. None of it mattered. "Shields at 97%, his tactical officer reported. "Their weapons are barely scratching us." "Target all 3 vessels," Paul ordered. "Fire when ready." The Vengeance carried weapons that humanity had spent 2 centuries developing. Railguns that could fire faster and harder than anything the Kryloth had. Missiles with individual AI brains that could dodge and weave. Laser arrays that could focus enough energy to cut through any known material. The first Kryloth cruiser died in 4 seconds, a railgun round through its engine core. The ship broke apart in a silent explosion. The second lasted 6 seconds. 2 missiles found weak points in its armor that human computers had identified 3 weeks ago during passive scans. The third tried to run. It lasted 10 seconds. The Vengeance's laser batteries tracked it perfectly, cutting through the hull like a knife through cloth. 3 targets eliminated, the tactical officer said. Moving to next engagement zone, Paul allowed himself a small smile. The Kryloth had superior numbers 3 centuries ago. They had better shields. They had more experience in space combat. But humanity had something more valuable. Information. They knew exactly how Kryloth shields worked. They knew the weak points in Kryloth armor. They knew the frequency of Kryloth sensors. Humanity had watched and learned. Now they were teaching. Sub-Commander Kreth sat in his command chair aboard the Kryloth destroyer Swift Talon. Around him, his crew panicked. They had come expecting an easy occupation. They had found hell instead. "Shields down to 40%, his engineer called out. "We can't take much more of this." "Evasive maneuvers," Kreth ordered. But even as he said it, he knew it was useless. The human ships moved like predators. They anticipated every dodge. They covered every escape route. It was like they could read minds. A human destroyer appeared on his screen. It was smaller than his ship. By all logic, it should be the weaker vessel. But it moved with impossible grace, its weapons firing with perfect accuracy. "Target that destroyer," Kreth said. "All weapons." His crew obeyed. Energy beams lanced out. Missiles streaked across space. All of them hit the human ship. None of them penetrated its shields. "Impossible," Kreth whispered. "What kind of defensive technology is this?" The answer came in the form of 3 railgun rounds that tore through his ship. The Swift Talon shook violently. Alarm screamed. Hull breaches appeared across multiple decks. "Engineering is gone," someone shouted. "Life support is failing. Medical bay destroyed, weapons offline." Kreth stared at the screen in horror. Around him, the Kryloth fleet was dying. Ships that had served the Dominion for decades were being torn apart by an enemy that should not exist. These humans had appeared from nowhere with technology that surpassed anything the Kryloth possessed. How was this possible? The Kryloth Dominion was old. They had conquered hundreds of worlds. They had the best weapons, the best shields, the best ships. How could a single planet species be this advanced? "Sir," his communications officer said weakly, "the flagship is hailing us. Chancellor Vexthor is ordering all ships to fall back and regroup." "Tell him it's too late," Kreth said quietly. He could see it clearly now. The human ships had them surrounded. Every escape route was blocked. Every formation was broken. This was not a battle. This was an execution. "Incoming transmission," his officer said. "It's from one of the human ships. Put it through." A human face appeared on his screen. The man was calm, almost casual. He wore a military uniform that Kreth did not recognize. Behind him, crew members worked at their stations with efficient precision. "Kryloth vessel," the human said. His voice was clear despite the translation software. "This is Captain Daniel Hayes. Your shields are down. Your weapons are destroyed. You have one chance. Surrender now or we will finish what we started." Kreth looked around his bridge. Half his crew was dead. The other half was wounded. His ship was dying. He had no weapons left. No shields. No engines. He had nothing. "We surrender," he said, the words bitter in his mouth. The human captain nodded. "Power down all systems. Prepare to be boarded. If you try anything, we will destroy you. Understood?" "Understood." The screen went dark. Kreth slumped in his chair. He had served the Dominion for 30 years. He had fought in a dozen wars. He had never lost a battle. Until today, Kate Morrison tracked the battle from her station aboard the Nightfall. The tactical display showed the situation clearly. 43 Kryloth ships had entered the fight. 15 were destroyed. 22 were crippled and surrendering. 6 were trying to flee, Captain, she said. 6 Kryloth vessels are attempting to break through our perimeter. "Don't let them," Daniel ordered. "No one escapes. No one reports back what happened here. Not yet." "Understood." Kate transmitted orders to the human ships nearest to the fleeing Kryloth. Those 6 alien vessels were fast, she had to admit. Their engines burned at maximum power. They were racing toward the edge of the solar system where they could jump to faster-than-light travel. They almost made it. 3 human interceptors caught them 2 million kilometers from the jump point. The interceptors were small ships built for speed rather than heavy combat. But they carried weapons that were more than sufficient. The first Kryloth ship died when a missile detonated inside its engine core. The explosion was visible even at this distance. The second ship tried to fight back. It lasted 8 seconds longer than the first. The remaining 4 ships scattered, each trying a different escape route. It did not help. The human interceptors split up and hunted them down one by one. Within 10 minutes, all 6 vessels were debris. "All targets eliminated," Kate reported. No Kryloth ships escaped. Daniel leaned back in his chair. The battle had lasted 17 minutes from first shot to final kill. 17 minutes to destroy or capture an entire Kryloth occupation fleet. Status of our vessels: all human ships reporting minimal damage. No casualties. Shield generators performed better than expected. Weapon systems exceeded design specifications. And the Kryloth? Kate pulled up the casualty reports. Her face was grim. 15 ships destroyed. Estimated 6,000 Kryloth dead. 22 ships captured. Another 8,000 prisoners. Daniel felt no joy in those numbers. This was not a victory to celebrate. This was a message being sent. A warning to anyone who thought Earth was weak. "Signal all ships," he said. "Begin recovery operations. Secure the prisoners. Salvage what we can from the wrecks. And someone find Admiral Nash. We need orders for the next phase." The next phase was already beginning. On Mars, Colonel Jake Martinez led his team toward the Kryloth base. They had dropped from orbit in stealth pods, landing 50 kilometers from the target. Now they moved across the red sand in powered armor that made them invisible to alien sensors. "Visual on the base," Jake reported. "Guards at the perimeter. Defensive turrets. Energy barriers. Nothing we can't handle." His team spread out, each soldier taking a designated position. They had rehearsed this assault 100 times in simulation. Now they would do it for real. "On my mark," Jake said. 3, 2, 1, mark. 50 human soldiers struck simultaneously. The Kryloth guards never saw them coming. Stun weapons dropped the aliens before they could raise an alarm. Shaped charges destroyed the defensive turrets. EMP devices shut down the energy barriers. The entire perimeter fell in 90 seconds. Jake led the main assault team inside. The Kryloth scientists and engineers were scrambling, trying to understand what was happening. They had been monitoring the space battle. They had seen their fleet destroyed. Now they were seeing human soldiers appear from nowhere. "Everyone on the ground," Jake ordered in Kryloth standard language. "Hands visible. Do not resist." Most of the aliens obeyed immediately. A few tried to fight back. They were stunned and secured within moments. The entire base fell in less than an hour. Jake stood in the command center looking at the Kryloth equipment. Strip it all. Every computer. Every data file. Every piece of technology. We're taking it all back to Earth for analysis. "What about the prisoners?" one of his soldiers asked. "Load them onto transport ships. They're going to Earth too. We have questions for them." Back in Earth orbit, Admiral Nash surveyed the aftermath. The space around his homeworld was filled with debris, shattered Kryloth ships. Sub-Commander Kreth sat in a human cell that was surprisingly comfortable. The bed was soft. The room was clean. Guards brought him regular meals. But the kindness made everything worse. His captors treated him well while his entire fleet lay in ruins. The door opened. A human woman entered. She wore a simple uniform with no visible weapons. She carried a data pad and a chair, which she set down across from his bed. "My name is Dr. Helen Price," she said in perfect Kryloth. "I'm here to talk with you." "I have nothing to say," Kreth replied. "That's fine." "I'll talk, you listen." Helen sat down and pulled up files on her datapad. "We've been studying your species for 273 years. We know your language, your culture, your military tactics, your political structure. We know the Kryloth Dominion better than most Kryloth know it themselves." Kreth stared at her. "That's impossible, is it? Your empire broadcasts on open channels. You've been talking to the entire galaxy for centuries. Did you think no one was listening?" "Earth had no space capability. Our scouts confirmed it decades ago. Your scouts saw what we wanted them to see. Automated satellites. Simple probes. Basic stations." Helen leaned forward. "They never looked for the warships we were building in the dark. They never imagined we might be hiding. Why?" Kreth asked. "Why hide? Why not join the galactic community? Because we wanted to see what kind of neighbors we had first. We watched your wars, your conquests, your treatment of weaker species. We learned that the galaxy is not a friendly place." Helen pulled up a star map. "Do you know how many species the Kryloth Dominion has absorbed in the past 1,000 years? We brought civilization to them. We elevated them from primitive cultures. You conquered them. You erased their independence." Helen's voice was cold now. "We watched you do it. Over and over. Species that were doing fine on their own. Species that asked to be left alone. You took them anyway because you believed you knew better." Kreth wanted to argue, but he had seen the recordings of the battle. He had watched human ships destroy his fleet like it was nothing. These people had spent centuries preparing. They had built weapons beyond anything he had imagined. They had done it all in secret. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now you go home," Helen said. "You and the other survivors. We're repairing your flagship just enough to make the journey. You're going to deliver a message to Chancellor Vexthor and the entire Dominion." "What message?" Helen handed him the datapad. On it was a complete recording of the battle. Every angle, every moment, every Kryloth ship destroyed or captured. "Show them this. Show them what happened when they threatened Earth. And tell them if they ever come back, we'll bring this same fury to their homeworld." Kreth watched the recording. It was brutal, clinical. It showed the complete destruction of his fleet in clear detail. Any Kryloth who saw this would understand. Earth was not weak. Earth was terrifying. "You're letting us go?" he asked. "Why?" "Because we're not monsters. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to be left alone." Helen stood up. "But if the Dominion decides to try again, if they send more fleets, if they threaten one human life, we will respond. And next time, we won't stop at your ships. We'll come for your worlds." 3 days later, Kreth stood on the bridge of his repaired flagship. Around him, the surviving crew members worked in silence. None of them spoke. None of them looked at each other. They were all thinking the same thing. They had lost, completely, utterly. "All systems ready," the engineer reported. "We can make the jump home," Kreth nodded. "Take us out of the system." As the flagship moved away from Earth, he looked back at the blue and white planet. It looked so peaceful, so innocent. No one would ever make that mistake again. While Kreth was leaving, another ship was arriving. It came from the opposite direction, moving fast. Ambassador First Circle Quinn had traveled from the Galactic Council chambers the moment they detected the battle. She expected to find a tragedy, a primitive world destroyed by the Kryloth Dominion. Instead, she found wreckage from Kryloth ships floating in orbit, human vessels patrolling with clear authority, and a planet that was very much intact. "This is Ambassador Quinn of the Galactic Council," she broadcast. "I request permission to approach Earth and speak with your leaders." The response came quickly. A human voice, calm and professional. "Permission granted, Ambassador. You'll be met by an escort. Follow their instructions." 2 human fighters appeared on her sensors. They guided her ship toward a space station that should not exist. Quinn had studied the files on Earth. According to every report, humans had barely left their own planet. Yet here was a station as advanced as anything the Council possessed. She docked and was met by guards in powered armor. They escorted her through corridors that were clean and efficient. Everything she saw contradicted what she thought she knew about humanity. Admiral Gregory Nash met her in a conference room with windows overlooking Earth. He was an older human, but his eyes were sharp and intelligent. "Ambassador Quinn," he said, speaking her language perfectly. "Welcome to Earth. I apologize for the circumstances of your visit." "Admiral," Quinn replied, "I came expecting to mediate a conflict. Instead, I find that the conflict is already over. The Kryloth made their choice. We responded. I've seen the preliminary reports. 43 Kryloth ships destroyed or captured. In 17 minutes, Quinn sat down carefully. How is this possible? Our records show Earth is barely spacefaring. Your records are incomplete. Clearly. Quinn studied the human carefully. May I speak plainly? Please. The Galactic Council is meeting an emergency session right now. Some members are calling for sanctions against Earth. Others are demanding military action. Everyone is afraid of us. Nash almost smiled. We're not the ones who invaded. You destroyed an entire fleet. You have technology that surpasses most galactic powers, and you've been hiding it for centuries. Quinn leaned forward. You must understand how this looks. A secret military force, advanced weapons, a willingness to use overwhelming force. These are not the actions of a peaceful species. You're right, Nash said. They're the actions of a species that wants to survive. Tell me, Ambassador, how many times have you seen a new species join the galactic community? Dozens of times. And how many of those species are still independent? How many maintain their sovereignty? How many aren't controlled by larger empires? Quinn was quiet. The answer was clear. Very few. We watched, Nash continued. For 3 centuries, we listened to the galaxy. We saw how new species were treated. Exploited, absorbed, conquered. Sometimes openly, sometimes through treaties that might as well be chains. We decided we wouldn't let that happen to us. So you built a fleet in secret. We built a defense. When the Kryloth came to take our world, we were ready. Nash pulled up star maps. We don't want territory. We don't want to conquer anyone. We just want to be left alone. And if you're not left alone, then we'll defend ourselves. As thoroughly as necessary. Quinn understood the unspoken threat. Earth had the technology and willingness to fight anyone who threatened them. The question was whether they would use that power for conquest or only for defense. The Council will want proof of your intentions, she said. Then let them send representatives. Let them see Earth. Let them meet our people. We have nothing to hide. Not anymore. Over the next week, Quinn toured Earth. She visited cities filled with billions of people. She saw universities and research centers. She met with scientists and diplomats. Everywhere she went, she saw the same thing. A civilization that was advanced, organized, and peaceful. She also saw the orbital defenses, the hidden shipyards, the massive fleet that had stayed concealed for centuries. Earth's military power was staggering, but it was aimed outward at potential threats, not at conquest. You really just want to be left alone, she said to Admiral Nash during their final meeting. That's all we've ever wanted. But we learned long ago that wanting peace and being able to defend it are 2 different things. What about the Kryloth? What if they come back with a larger fleet? Then we'll defeat a larger fleet. Nash's expression was hard. We're prepared for that. We're prepared for anything. Quinn believed him. Earth had spent 3 centuries preparing. They would not be caught by surprise again. The Council will want assurances, treaties. Guarantees that you won't use this military power for expansion. We're willing to talk. But understand something, Ambassador. We're not asking to join the galactic community. We're informing you that we exist. Whether the Council accepts us or not, Earth will remain free. That sounds like a threat. It's a fact. We don't need the Council's permission to exist. Quinn returned to her ship with her head spinning. In 1 week, everything she thought she knew about the galaxy had changed. Humanity was not a primitive species to be protected or conquered. They were a major power that had revealed itself with explosive force. As her ship left Earth's system, she composed her report to the Council. She chose her words carefully. This was the most important document she would ever write. The humans are not a threat to galactic peace, she wrote, but they are a threat to anyone who threatens them. They have demonstrated technological superiority, strategic patience, and a willingness to use overwhelming force when necessary. I recommend the Council accept our... 5 months had passed since the Battle of Earth's orbit. Captain Daniel Hayes stood on the bridge of the Nightfall, but his ship was no longer hiding in the darkness. Today, it traveled openly through space toward a distant star system, humanity's first official diplomatic mission to an alien world. Approaching the Velkari system, Lieutenant Kate Morrison reported. They're hailing us. Open channel. A face appeared on the screen. Not human, not Kryloth, something else entirely. The Velkari had smooth blue skin and large eyes that shimmered like water. Their spokesperson looked nervous. Human vessel, the Velkari said carefully. We welcome you to our space. We hope for peaceful relations. Daniel heard the fear in their voice. Everyone in the galaxy had heard about Earth by now. The species that had destroyed a Kryloth fleet in 17 minutes. The species that had hidden for 3 centuries while building weapons beyond anyone's imagination. The species that demanded respect, not requested it. We come in peace, Daniel replied. Earth wishes to establish trade and diplomatic relations with the Velkari people. Nothing more. We are honored. Please allow us to guide you to our homeworld. As the Nightfall followed the escort ships, Kate leaned over. They're terrified of us. I know, Daniel said quietly. We're going to have to get used to that. It was a strange feeling. For 3 centuries, humanity had been the ones watching nervously. Now they were the ones being watched. Every species in the galaxy wanted to know what Earth would do next. Would they conquer? Would they trade? Would they stay in their own space? The truth was that humanity was still deciding. Back on Earth, Admiral Gregory Nash sat in a conference room filled with representatives from 40 different nations. The room was larger than before. More people needed to be involved in these decisions now. Earth was no longer isolated. Every choice they made would ripple across the galaxy. The Galactic Council has officially recognized our sovereignty, Nash announced. Earth is now a full member with all rights and privileges. Applause filled the room, but Nash raised a hand for silence. However, membership comes with expectations. The Council wants us to contribute to peacekeeping operations. They want us to share technology. They want us to open our borders to alien visitors. Do we have to agree? Someone asked. No, we set our own terms, but we need to decide what kind of relationship we want with the galaxy. Nash pulled up a holographic display showing hundreds of star systems. We have options. We can remain isolated, we can engage selectively, or we can become active participants in galactic affairs. Commander Lisa Bennett spoke up. What about the Kryloth? Are they still a threat? The Dominion is in chaos. Chancellor Vexthor was removed from power. Several border worlds have declared independence. They're too busy with internal problems to threaten anyone right now. Nash paused. But that could change. We need to stay vigilant. What about the Council's request for peacekeeping forces? That's what we need to discuss today. The debate lasted for hours. Some argued that Earth should remain focused on defense. Others believed humanity had a responsibility to help maintain galactic stability. Still others worried that getting involved in alien conflicts would stretch their resources too thin. Finally, Nash called for a vote. The decision was made. Earth would contribute to peacekeeping, but only on their terms. They would not police the galaxy. They would not fight other people's wars. But if asked, they would help mediate conflicts and provide humanitarian aid. It was a careful balance. Engage with the galaxy without becoming entangled in its politics. Across the galaxy in the Galactic Council chambers, Prime Speaker Zalthun read Earth's formal response. The ancient being had led the council for 3 centuries. He had seen thousands of species come and go, but he had never seen anything like humanity. They agree to contribute peacekeeping forces, he told the assembled representatives, but they reserve the right to refuse any mission. They will share medical technology but not weapons. They will open embassies but limit immigration. They demand complete sovereignty over their solar system. These terms are unacceptable, one representative objected. New members do not dictate conditions. This new member destroyed a Kryloth fleet in 17 minutes, another representative said dryly. I suggest we accept their terms. The debate continued, but everyone knew the outcome. Earth had all the leverage. They did not need the Council. The Council needed them. Their technology could revolutionize medicine, communications, and defense. Their military could deter aggressors. Their example showed that younger species could resist the traditional empires. We accept Earth's terms, Zelthun finally announced. Let it be recorded that humanity joins the Galactic Council as an independent sovereign state. More applause, though some representatives looked unhappy. The old order was changing. Earth had proven that patience and preparation could overcome centuries of established power. Other species would learn from that example. Meanwhile, on a small station at the edge of human space, Colonel Jake Martinez oversaw the construction of the first trade hub. Ships from a dozen different species were arriving daily, all wanting to do business with Earth. Some wanted to buy human technology, others wanted to sell exotic materials. A few just wanted to establish good relations with the species that everyone feared. We need better security, Jake told his team. There are too many ships coming and going. We can't verify all of them. What are you worried about? One officer asked. Spies, saboteurs, anyone trying to steal our technology or learn our secrets? We caught 3 last week. Exactly. And those are just the ones we found. Jake understood the problem. Earth had revealed itself as a major power, but they had not revealed all their secrets. Other species desperately wanted to know how human shields were so strong, how human weapons were so effective, how human ships could disappear from sensors. Some would try to steal that information. Others would try to trade for it. A few might try to force it from them. Earth had to stay alert. Dr. Helen Price worked in a very different environment. She had established a medical research center where human and alien scientists worked together. The goal was simple: share knowledge that could save lives. The plague on Velkar is spreading, one of the alien researchers told her. Our people are dying. Thousands every day. Helen studied the data. The plague was a virus that attacked the Velkari respiratory system. Their own doctors had tried everything. Nothing worked. Let me see the genetic structure. She ran simulations on human medical computers. Within hours, she had an answer. We can create a treatment. It won't be a cure, but it will slow the infection and give their immune systems time to fight back. How long will it take to produce enough for the entire population? 3 weeks. Maybe less if we dedicate our facilities to it. The alien researcher stared at her. You would do this? Help a species you barely know? That's what neighbors do, Helen said simply. The medicine was produced and shipped to Velkar. Within 2 months, the plague was under control. The Velkari government sent a formal thank you to Earth. More importantly, they told other species what humanity had done. Not conquer. Not demand payment. Just help word spread. Earth was powerful but not cruel. Advanced but willing to share. Demanding respect but offering friendship in return. Ambassador First Circle Quinn returned to Earth 6 months after her first visit. This time, she came with a proposal from the Council. We want humanity to mediate a border dispute between the Torval and Mextin species. They've been fighting for 3 years. Thousands are dead. Neither side will accept any current Council mediator. Why us? Admiral Nash asked. Because both sides respect your neutrality. You have no stake in their conflict. You have no history with either species. And frankly, both sides are afraid of you. They'll listen. Nash considered it. We'll need access to all records of the dispute. Full diplomatic immunity for our team, and both sides must agree to binding arbitration. All agreed. Then we'll do it. Captain Daniel Hayes was chosen to lead the mediation team. He traveled to the disputed border region with Kate Morrison and a team of diplomats. The Torval and Mextin representatives met him on a neutral station, both sides eyeing him warily. I'm not here to take sides, Daniel told them. I'm here to find a solution that both of you can accept. Now let's review the facts. For 2 weeks, he listened to both sides. He examined historical records. He studied the economic and strategic importance of the disputed territory. He learned about both cultures, their values, their fears. Then he made his proposal. The territory will be split. Not 50-50. Not based on current occupation. Based on actual need and historical claims. The Torval get the mineral-rich areas because their economy depends on mining. The Mextan get the agricultural zones because they need the food production. Both sides establish embassies in each other's territory. Trade agreements ensure both benefit from the other's resources. Both sides objected at first. Neither wanted to give up anything. But Daniel was patient. He showed them the cost of continued war. He showed them the benefits of peace. He made it clear that this was the best deal they would get. Finally, both sides agreed. The war ended. The border was settled. And humanity earned a reputation as honest mediators. Back on Earth, Nash received report after report. Human ships exploring.